Hello, I chose to talk about a political philosophical debate, that of Robert Nozick and John Stuart Mill. They didn't live in the same time, but the philosophies about how a country should be ruled were very different, so I decided to talk about that and exactly libertarianism versus egalitarianism. I will explain what those two things are, talk about their advantages, disadvantages, difficulties that we might face with those two systems, and say in the end which one I personally prefer. Let's start with the idea that Robert Nozick preferred, that is libertarianism. It is a political philosophy that focused on individual liberty, which means that the individual should be free to make their own choices regarding everything in their life without the government to interfere. Robert Nozick, in his book Anarchy, State, and Utopia, talks about the minimal state, which is that the government should only be used to protect the people of the country from violence, theft, fraud, and only such things, but nothing more. In the book, Nozick also talks about the entitlement theory of justice. The theory talks about how the individual has a moral claim to the fruits of their labor and should be free to engage in transactions with those products without the government to interfere. Here we have free market, and taxes should be paid only so much that the government can protect us, but the government itself has no place in economics and other personal matters. Of course, libertarianism is not perfect, quite the opposite, and maybe some of you have already caught the problems. Maybe the biggest one is that the wealthy will become more wealthy and the poor will become poorer. Monopolies will be more common and few people will have the opportunity to enter the so-called free market. Also, some moral and ethical questions will arise, such as who will help the people in need when taxes are paid only for protection against violence, who will support the people in financial need and help these people go back on their feet. What about equality? There will be little to none. The bigger fishes will just devour the smaller one, and no one will be able to protect them as the government's job isn't to do so. Now that we have discussed Robert Nozick's view, it's time to go to his opponent, John Stuart Mill, and the political philosophy that he supported, egalitarianism. Egalitarianism believes that individuals have equal rights, opportunities, and resources are not based on wealth or income, but they are based on everyone's ability. Here, the government isn't just for protection, it plays a very important role in economics. The government also makes sure that the rich don't go overboard and become too rich. One way to control this is by making taxes based on income. The more money you get and make, the more money you have to pay. And the government distributes this wealth equally. Keep in mind that this is not communism. John Stuart Mill wanted equality of opportunities, but that doesn't mean that everything was supposed to be equal. And of course, as everything, egalitarianism has its own problems. Here, the government has too much control. It becomes too powerful, which opens the possibility of totalitarianism. Also, corruption will be very common and very tempting, as the benefits of it will be enormous. And as the government has a lot of power, it will be harder to fight against. There is also this Bulgarian fairy tale where a healthy fox takes advantage of an ill and weak wolf. The wolf, although weak, has to provide food for both of them, but the fox it eats everything. The same might happen here. The hardworking, rich people that have worked hard for their own good will also have to take care of the other peoples and make sure that they have the opportunity to be their opponents. People might lose motivation to work or innovate as the government will make sure that everything is taken care of. Before I say my opinion, let's see some real life situations and how they will be in the two political philosophies. Let's start with healthcare. In libertarianism, individuals will be responsible for their healthcare, and there will be competition among providers. In egalitarianism, healthcare will be considered a fundamental right. The government would provide access to healthcare for all citizens. In libertarianism, education will be either private or homeschooling, as the government involved in education will be minimal, while in egalitarianism, it will be a public good and the government will provide high quality education for all children. In libertarianism, the housing markets will be largely deregulated, allowing for free market competition. The government won't be able to interfere as it's not its job to do so. In egalitarianism, the government will make sure that everybody will be able to afford a house. They won't allow monopoly and will control the prices so that they are not too high. Having everything in mind, if we had only those two political systems, I would have been on John Stuart Mill's side. I believe that everybody's future is in their own hands. Yes, life might be harder for some and easier for others. Yes, but everybody has the power to choose their own future, no matter their income, race, family, etc. People should only rely on themselves and not hope that others will help them. However, I believe the government should also have a saying in some matters. There should be people that protect other people. The government should make sure that there is fairness and equality. But there might be corruption. There is always corruption. But some may take advantage of others. Yes, and this is bad. But should everybody suffer just because of some? You yourself might find yourself in need. So we should think about the others. Does that mean that I think we should move to egalitarianism? Absolutely not. I might believe that it is better than libertarianism, but I don't think that it is better than than the democratical system many countries have. Democracy too has its many flaws, but for now it is probably the best way to rule a country. That doesn't mean that we should settle down and not seek improvement. Maybe we will never be able to find the political philosophy that is perfect, but striving for it is just as important as finding it. And this is why this video is important. Maybe this time we didn't find something better, but we should never give up on improving. These are the sources I used in order to make this video. I hope you liked the video. That was it. Thank you very much.